You're listening to the audio portion of Workshop Wednesdays. Workshop Wednesdays is a free live discussion about topics affecting accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners. You can join the Aqqrue group in Facebook to participate live Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Just search for ABBO in Facebook. This podcast is brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com, where you will learn, grow, and build a thriving bookkeeping practice. We have hundreds of lessons with almost every aspect of the industry. Start your free month today at Schoolofbookkeeping.com.
And of course, it just heads off just like that. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I have to work on my editing skills, I think, and I've fade out there.
I was waiting. I was like, what's going to happen here?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm still not quite sold on this new format of it's got some good things where it announces and people get alerts and those types of things, but there are some things that I'm just used to.
Yeah.
With like Zoom or what we were using before with the workshop that this just doesn't have.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Yeah. We don't have a backstage type of thing or a
No.
waiting room so that this whole little coffee shop chill vibe music is it's still a thing. And what do you think? Put in the comments if you're watching it, if it's yay or nay. But good news, I actually hit record this time. So,
Okay.
so Rachel, what happened while you were gone to Croatia and Colorado? Did you do any other traveling to see places, or was it just Croatia and Colorado? And go to California?
Croatia in Colorado. Yeah, Croatia was beautiful. Oh my goodness. I'd never been to the Adriatic Sea and it was incredible. And then I was at Sin 7 Summit for the week in Denver.
Well,
and
that starts with the C as
very
well.
cool. In a whole different way. But
Yeah.
since that was
The one was for fun and one was
magical as Croatia, but it was still really cool.
the one was for fun and one was for working type of thing, or were they both kind of a split between?
Yeah, one was
the two?
vacation with my family and then for work first. Yeah.
Got it. All right. While you were gone in Croatia, Surya.
I did hear
was
about
going-
the forgetting to record though.
Yes. Yes. Thanks. Yeah, the good news travels fast. But Surya was here a couple weeks ago, and he's lurking in the background with his camera off. But we had a great discussion that I forgot to record. So we wanted to have Surya come back on to have that discussion again, because I also think that it would be really good, Rachel, for you to be a part of this discussion too. Surya, how are you?
Hey, hi, Dan. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for having me back again.
That's right. The first time was just the dress rehearsal.
Yeah, and I have no idea what you guys are going to talk about, so I'm excited.
So I had put out a blog, and I'm going to share my screen again because I wanted to talk about that as a framing up of this. Get rid of the video here. So I did a series about, where is it here? Okay, so where I did 5 of them, and I want to make sure I go 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this one here, specifically, what can Claude do in QuickBooks Online? No. Where is it now? There it is. Okay. This is what started. Should you connect Claude to QuickBooks Online? Because Intuit had put out a press release about the things that now you can connect Claude to QuickBooks Online, right? So this is now just kind of unpacking. Should you do that, right?
Yeah, I know what I would say. As much as I love Claude,
And what this starts to introduce is what I'm calling here like a traffic light options as far as what you should do, as far as what you should allow Claude to do with your quick, right? So Surya, you founded a company called Aqqrue that you're probably in this room here, you're probably the smartest person when it comes to AI. Tell us a little bit about Aqqrue and what it does, and then we'll talk into this set of AI that we're just built.
Yeah. No, totally. So what Accrue does is it ensures the traffic light. I'm borrowing your words. It's the simplest way what a customer told us that it's like the AI that Intuit should have into QuickBooks, but it managed to. And we combine that with the traffic light philosophy, right? It's basically this AI layer on top of QuickBooks, but it doesn't impact anything on QuickBooks without 2 layers of checks by you and your team. And we can do everything that you need to do on QuickBooks, be it bills, journal entries, reconciliation, deposits, all that good stuff, right? So that's why I was saying it's like the AI that Intuit should have had.
Exactly, because when you just like who's who in the AI zoo here, right? You've got your LLMs, your large language models, the companies that stand behind them, the open AIs of the world, the Anthropics, the Geminis, and the Copilots. Those are large language model tools that those companies have built that may or may not be able to connect to QuickBooks. And then you have Intuit Intelligence, which is inside of QuickBooks that Intuit has developed its own AI system, training its systems, but only inside of QuickBooks. So where Aqqrue kind of sits is straddling both of those, right? Yeah. So it's like a platform that is built around AI that has a purpose built. So let's talk about the differences between general AI and purpose-built AI.
Absolutely. I think you got it right in that there are 3 types.
I'm understanding.
I'm only just learning about this right now. Dan and I were just talking about the other day of how certain things are in QuickBooks but not really in the realm of the LLM.
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 3 types of AI tools in the market. So one is your Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, general purpose AI. Then there's Intuit Intelligence and whatever Zero is building. And then there are tools like ourselves, right? So those are the 3 types. I think if you start with number 1, Claude, for example, the most popular among bookkeepers and accountants, there are 2 options within Claude. So the native sort of QuickBooks connector in Claude, actually the QuickBooks team built it only for business owners. So you can do cash flow, some cash flow forecasting, some sort of P&L analysis, all of that. It's mainly built for business owners. Intuit also gives you something called an MCP for accountants and bookkeepers, but it's incredibly hard to use inside Claude. They expect you to go through 45 minutes, 1 hour of setup for each entity. And only a technical person could do it. Even in our case, only my CTO can do it. I can't. It's very hard to do it.
Are you trying to say I can't do it?
You should try it out, Rachel.
No,
Then you'll agree with me.
I'm good. You know what
Yeah,
I
so-
definitely do really well is I listen to smart people and very obedient. If you say I can't do it, then there's no way.
Yeah. So yeah, that rules out Claude for a lot of things. I think you can do it's meant for business owners to do some stuff. It's not meant for accountants and bookkeepers to do anything. Intuit Intelligence has its shortfalls in terms of what it can do for you in QuickBooks. It feels like they've also built it more for the business owner rather than the accountant bookkeeper. So same
Right.
thing. And then there are folks like us who only care about bookkeeper, accountant. We focus only on recurring Z's, your bank statement processing, credit card statement processing, splitting of deposits, accruals, all of that. So I think that's how you should think about the differences. Yeah, happy to dive deeper.
Yeah. And this concept of the traffic light, where it's green, yellow for caution, and red it is maybe you shouldn't be doing these sort of things. Always categorize them into how Claude is interfacing with QuickBooks, right? So when it's pulling information from QuickBooks, that is the safest way for any AI to interact with QuickBooks. Yellow, when it's creating or putting things in QuickBooks, like in this case, in the blog here, like creating invoices and estimates, that's a little bit more cautious of a task that you might want to have Claude be doing, or maybe you don't want to be having it do that because is it going to be mapped right? There's all sorts of caveats that could fall into that category with it could be, right? Just like the yellow light, the light turns yellow at the intersection. Do I bolt through it, right? Or do I stop? There's risk of bolting through the intersection, right? And then the red light is really things that you don't want to have Claude be doing unattended, right? Like editing existing transactions, deleting things. Those are things that could, because Claude it's fun, or any AI, right? I think we've all had the experience of it being overly polite, wanting to please, and its purpose is, when you give it an input, is to give an output, and that output could certainly not be the results that you wanted.
Yeah, sometimes it just steamrolls over what you're doing and then suggests, do you want me to create a whole new business for you based on this idea? It's like, no, I don't. Slow down. And like what you were saying about the red light, some of our clients don't have any concept of that. They're uploading bank statements. They're uploading tax returns. I mean, that's obvious red light. Anything with any personal detail, names, business names, social security numbers, anything like that on there, it just didn't go in there at all.
Yeah. And
one thing
go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but one thing I'd add is we've seen so many cases more recently, especially in the last couple of weeks, where an end client has actually gone in, done something with Claude, it's gone and hit QuickBooks, maybe an invoice estimate, and then a lot of cleanup when it comes to the keeper and accountant. And maybe, that's going to be a consequence of going forward, of letting folks do their own bookkeeping.
Yeah. The marketing, the marketing and the advertisements that are out there is, and I think we're in this season of client relationships where there are some that are going to be looking and rightfully asking themselves, hey, can't I do this with AI, right? Can't AI do this for me? Where they'll read a press release or something that says, hey, I can just connect my Claude to my QuickBooks and I can have it do these things, right? What do I need X for? And as accounting professionals, we're going to see this more often than not, right? They're looking at cost-cutting measures or whatever that might be, and they're going to logically, and I don't fault them for asking these questions, but what we need to make our clients aware of is the dangers, right? of doing these things on. Yes, just because they can do things doesn't mean it should do things, right? And I think Rachel and I were having this kind of conversation in workshops in the past where this is probably where things are going to evolve for folks, some folks in our industry, where they will be specializing in, aiming this machine, right? Or coming up with ways to clean up the mess that they're ultimately going to make. Now, Surya, you've go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. I was just going to say, because think of it. If you don't know how to go in and do the bookkeeping work, let's say I'm a business owner and I'm like, oh, cool, I'm going to cheap out and I'm going to run all this through Claude. And I don't really understand what I'm putting in, and I don't really understand what I'm putting out, and I don't really understand the recipe of what it's doing. What I'm looking at in the output, I'm just going to think that it's copacetic. And then I'm going to turn it into the bank, or I'm going to turn it into somebody, and somebody's going to be like, what does this mean? And then I'm not going to understand how to explain it or even decipher how it even got to that outcome. So that's great that we've got these tools, but unless are like, I'm not going to go and now there's a combine that can pick, process, and bake the bread. So we can harvest the whole and now bake the bread. Just because there's a new tool that can go out and do all that, I'm still not a farmer or a baker or all of those. So just because it can crunch the numbers, if you're blindly accepting what it's giving you without being able to speak to the process or the underlying things that are going on, you're going to run into a lot of trouble. And so there's going to be a lot of potential cleanup work that people don't even understand why it needs to be cleaned up. So it's expensive. I've always said that. It's some plumber told me that a million years ago. And I just think it's so apropos, because if you're going to look for a lower cost, but you don't understand what's involved in what you're doing. And I even like having a argument, somebody on Facebook right now, this guy that's saying, bookkeeping is going away. AI can do it all. And I actually asked him, I said, have you been a bookkeeper? And he was like, I was an accountant. And I go, but I asked, have you been a bookkeeper? Because bookkeepers are accountants, I get it. And maybe he was very high level accountant, but doesn't mean you are a bookkeeper. And you can speak to all you want, but there is nothing better than those 20-year experienced bookkeepers that have been in the weeds with the payroll and all of the complicated things at the transaction level. You can't replace those people. I'm sorry, especially when it comes to discernment. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I'll be quiet now.
Well, that's a great add to it, and I think that's where the accounting pros from today on are going to prove their value, right? Being the ones that can look at an output, even if it was created by AI, and evaluate it. We had a couple months ago, we did people versus robots on the QB Power Hour, and Sharon did this exercise where she took the same prompt and put it into 4 different LLMs and evaluated their outputs because they were different.
Yeah.
They were.
And the thing is with the skill that some of these are doing, not even necessarily the prompts, but the skills, is it giving some kind of recourse where I can go back and look at it? For example, in accounting software, I can go and open up the reconciliation. I can look at the ledger and I can look to see the mechanics. Is this being done right? If it's something being run through Claude, is there something that I can look at with an accountant's eye and look to see that it's done correct. That's my biggest question. Maybe there is, and maybe there's a trail for me to look at. And if that's the case, great. Then I'll run it through it and I'll just review it every month. I don't know, because a lot of it I don't know yet. But
Yeah,
that's
Surya,
a little bit what I'm confused about. Yeah, maybe Surya, you're
can you
well,
shed some
Yeah.
light on that aspect of quality control of the output?
Yeah. What we've found helpful is that while creating any entries or while creating any output, to always force the agent or force the AI to give you work papers that actually prove to you on why this output was the right one, or why even the AI at least arrived at it. So you can at least follow through on how this outcome came to be. So that way you can at least find out why the AI got it wrong and teach it for the next time. So I think two things are very important to get this to work, to reach this point. One is work papers and audit trails all throughout, and the other is memory. So you don't want to be the one to tell the AI every single time on how to do this particular Stripe reconciliation. Maybe the first time you can treat it as an intern and explain a couple of things if it gets it wrong, but the next time you would expect it to remember. So both of those things are critical. If you get it right, then AI can be your best friend. If you don't get it right, that's a challenge.
I have
Yeah,
to
can you
say, I'm a little worried because this is an example that Dan, you'll know, because I literally just asked you 2 days ago. I was looking for I thought I unreconciled the entire account, but there was like 10 pages of ledger. I exported it, all the information off of it, just the numbers, ran it through Claude, and I was like, are there any R's? Did I miss something? Nope, no R's. Damn, what happened when you sorted that?
Yes, I found them right away.
What did you find?
There were two.
I missed it because I forgot when you sort, like and then you've got right tool going on, whatever. I missed the 2 R's. And then of course I found endpoint and amount. I found them unreconciled, and my beginning balance was just fine. But do you know what it was giving me before that? Claude was like, oh, your beginning balance issue was only because of this and that and the other. And I was and I wouldn't upload statements. I was like, just take my word that the beginning balance on the statement was this, the ending balance of the year was this. And so I was telling it, but I was still like, anybody can just tell everybody what the beginning statement balance is. I could be committing fraud. And it was just, I guess my point being is that can open doors with some fraud. And then also, why didn't it catch the R? I don't know. It was really weird. I just see that it's listening to what I'm prompting it to do, and it wants to agree with me, and it wants to give me the outcome I want, but it didn't find it. Dan did.
Yeah. Can you, Surya, can you speak to that? Because I've been seeing a lot of showing how dumb AI is videos on social media.
I'm not trying to say how dumb it is.
But
At
those
the same time, I'm like, dude.
But those are the things that, like, when we see them, we're like, how can we trust it if it doesn't know that there are 3 R's in strawberry, or that there are no X's in any month, right? When it's like constantly wrong. It's like, oh yeah, there's an X in December. And then you ask it to spell it, and there's no X. And he's like, what's hiding in there between the C and like trying to justify its own thing? How can you maybe shed some light from your experience, Surya, about why those things seem so prevalent these days?
Yeah, I think a lot of different aspects conflate to this, right? So first, it's important to remember that AI is a probabilistic system. Everyone who's working on it at Gemini and OpenAI and Anthropic is trying their best to ensure that the probabilistic nature of the system doesn't hurt you. But at some point it will, right? And the R's in strawberry is a good example. For some reason that no one really knows, the models don't seem to get this right, for example, right? The problem, I think, is in the marketing of AI. That unlike when people come and tell you that, hey, AI can do bookkeeping, instead of telling you that, hey, AI is this new piece of software which is very efficient, which can save you more time than it saved you previously when you were using QuickBooks, right? That's all. That's the truth to it. If you use QuickBooks without an AI tool like ours or anyone else, it'll take you maybe 10 hours to do something. With AI, maybe it's going to take you half that time. That doesn't mean you're not going to spend half that time. So I think it's a marketing problem, right? The moment you tell everyone that, hey, you still have to spend time and AI is not going to do everything, that still puts the risk of error on the bookkeeper where it should always be. So that's the way I think about it, right? When I go into a customer sales call, I never tell them that, hey, you should just approve everything and send it to QuickBooks. I always tell them, there's a reason in this software that there are 2 layers of approval. It is for you and your team to actually approve it. It's just that the AI does a lot of the work for you. So you don't need to do preparatory work anymore. Do review the work and go for it.
Right.
That's
So
I think a really good point, is because at this point, I can't do my job without AI. But I mean, I'm
Right.
not necessarily doing the bookkeeping, or my team, they're not doing that, but we do a lot of the ancillary stuff, and I deal with a ton of inventory. So I build a lot of build materials and AI. And it is, I think what I love, and this is why I love talking about it, it's made all of us so much more efficient and increased our capability to do so much more things. But I'm just still a little worried about that. These bots are going to actually do the financial statement. That's where I'm a little. Let's still keep our sharp eyeballs on this.
And I always throw a superhero reference in here every once in a while, right? It's kind of like Batman, right? Where Batman has a suit, he's got a utility belt, he's got a Batmobile, he's got all of these bat things, the tools that make him a better hero, right? Or the anti-hero, depending on what phase of Batman you're talking about. But these are tools, and they're underneath it all, there's still a human, right? There still needs to be that human oversight, the judgment of the overlord of AI to evaluate those outputs and make them more efficient and better, right? So I did put in the comment in the chats there, this article, which illustrates specifically what tasks Claude can do. So that down at the bottom here, in full transparency, I use Claude to come up with this, right? So Claude was nice enough to tell me what it's able to do.
You should use ChatGPT.
So doing the things, this is what you do in Claude. This is what it's for.
Yeah. So it created this utility that you can use and utilize. You can search for it, filter by grouping. So here's the 10 things it can do with invoicing and sales, and each one will have a limitation and make in a better fit if scenario, right? So this is Claude being self-aware of its own limitations. And one thing I also wanted to point out about the Claude connection to QuickBooks Online, when it comes to accountants, you're out of luck at this point, because Claude connection can only be made to one QuickBooks company file, right? If you connect Claude through your instance of Claude, it's going to connect to that company and be able to do these potential 81 tasks, but only for that company. So if you want to do this for client work, then you're going to have to disconnect Claude from the company that it's connected to and then reconnect it. And that is a pain.
Or just going to have like 50 different Claude connections.
or
But I
very
have a
expensive.
tester. I have a QBO tester account, my exotics tiger zoo. And I'm going to follow these instructions that you have given us, and I am going to go through that step by step by step.
There we go. You're gonna QA Claude here.
I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and tell you that you can just connect 50 QuickBooks connections and switch between each of them as easily as in QuickBooks. In
You can.
And really, that's where Accrue's sweet spot is, right? Because it allows for that connection to multiple company files with AI. Can you talk a little bit?
Oh, that's what it does.
So
Can you talk a little bit? Did you put his thing in the chat, his link or his website?
I'm sure he will.
Okay.
Thanks for reminding me. That was thanks for reminding.
Gosh, that's so cool.
So I guess in general terms, sure, if anyone is thinking, what is Aqqrue? And I hate to throw up competitors, but if you had to put yourself in the same family as X, what would you say Aqqrue would be best aligned with what's already existing in the marketplace?
Sure. I think the best alignment is a combination of Claude and Double. So Claude for all the AI part of it, but imagine the simplicity of switching between clients so easily. Claude still can do these 80 things in QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online supports about 800 or probably more. So 800 things on QuickBooks Online, easy switching between entities, and someone who's taken the time to build a product specifically for bookkeepers. And the Double part of it, because you can manage your month end, you can do your month end journals, you can create AI-driven SOPs for your month end. So that's why I combine both of those products.
Got it.
Harry, can I ask you? So let's say I had a firm full of just straightforward bookkeeping, and I wasn't necessarily doing a cleanup or looking for anomalies or things that are airing out. And I guess theoretically, this can be very, I guess what's the word I'm thinking of? It can operate very smoothly. But what if you've got clients that are, there's always something weird going on. There's always a wrench being thrown in the gears that stopping it. And, or like I've got e-commerce connectors that foreign transactions sometimes cause it to quit or what have you. How does it work for that kind of extra layer of complexity?
So that's a wonderful question. In fact, when I go on a demo or ever talk about Aqqrue, I always say that extra complexity is when you should consider us. If you have routine bookkeeping work, I always tell them it doesn't make sense. You're not going to get the ROI out of an AI product like us. You should use the bank feed in QuickBooks. Hopefully their bank feed AI gets better at some point, even though it doesn't seem to. But if it does at some point and it gets good enough, you should use that. If you have multiple line items that you need to split, you have processor fees, you have the payout that needs to be matched, you need some cash application, you have a complex payroll JE, you have like different holdcos, all of that is when Aqqrue is actually sensible, right? You need to be spending those 6, 10 hours, 20 hours on bookkeeping for that client, and then you see the value. That 20 hours comes down to 4 hours, and you can take 5 more clients, and then everything pays for itself, right? So we do a lot of work with nonprofits, for example, and they're notoriously hard to work with. So
I'm so glad
they get a lot of value
because that's the thing is some of the bookkeepers I can do it real fast. They don't need that.
They don't need AI. They don't
need
AI at all.
Because we're already so leveled up that they're banging through that really fast, especially for the simple stuff. I don't need an AI tool for that.
For them, maybe the biggest constraint is the client is not sending information on time. It's not the bookkeeping work at all.
Excellent point.
Yeah. So Surya is open to coming on the QB Power Hour in mid-September, and we're going to be comparing Aqqrue versus Double side by side. So we'll be having a not a representative, but a power user of Double, and the folks from Aqqrue will be there as well, so we can kind of not necessarily pit these two against each other, but just showcase where one excelled and one maybe has some opportunities, right? And then you can decide what works best for you, because you may be in that boat where it's like, I'm fine with the bank feeds the way they are and the purpose-built AI that's in QuickBooks Online and inside of Intuit Accountant Suite. Maybe I don't need something else, but if you do, where do you go, right? And this will provide a decision point to be able to do that. And then after that, the folks from Accru, we're going to be doing a cohort in School of Bookkeeping where we will start to take a deeper dive into the things that Accru can do in your firm. So you can come in, it'll be a live cohort very similar to this, where we'll take some use cases and flesh them out and see what kind of power that tool could leverage to the accountant and bookkeeping firms that are out there. So look forward to a long and fruitful relationship with Aqqrue, and maybe we'll have you back on where we talk more AI stuff. We can pick your brain. Last week when I forgot to hit the...
I always love to chat with you, Dan.
All right. And so next week will be the rerun from the last week when I forgot to hit the record button for the contract. So we really had a good discussion, and it was a really good walkthrough of the contract feature inside of QuickBooks Online now. But I would have loved to have recorded it. So we're gonna do it again next week. So hopefully everybody has a great week ahead. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next time on Workshop Wednesday.
And that wraps up another insightful episode of Workshop Wednesday, brought to you by Schoolofbookkeeping.com. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion and took away some valuable tips and strategies to enhance your bookkeeping practice. Remember, if you want to stay ahead in the world of bookkeeping and accounting, be sure to visit Schoolofbookkeeping.com. With a wide range of courses, resources, and expert guidance, you'll find everything you need to sharpen your skills and boost your career. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, please take a moment to leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. Your reviews help us reach more listeners and continue to bring you the best content every week. If you have questions or topics you'd like us to cover, reach out to us on social media or send us an email at support@schoolofbookkeeping.com. We love hearing from our listeners and are always looking for new ideas to explore. Thanks for tuning in to Workshop Wednesday. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep excelling in your bookkeeping journey. I am Dan DeLong, and we'll see you next time.